Before we do anything, I just want to say I have a new Discord, and I want you to join it. Link will be inside of the description. Join TSD family, the family house. Yeah, and with that said, hit the intro.
Let me come back in with some real exclusive shit. Take your index finger, cock it, GDK, drop it.
Okay, so basically, Izuku would have been going to visit Beacon Hills. I'm gonna say that he had some, families there. Now, basically, Inko had been having a very hard time for a while. And basically, at this point, he's about like 5, as basically Inko forgets Izuku through all of her stress. And basically, she gets inside of her car and drives out of Beacon Hills. By the time she actually does notice that he's no longer with her, she's already back to Tokyo. As she's kind of like, maybe this is a good thing. Maybe this will give me a little bit of time. Someone will eventually, take him back to me, or at least he'll go on the news. And since he knows how to speak some English, you know, he won't be lost forever. So, yeah. Basically, Izuku was basically looking, and basically, he was confused, so he left the store to see if his car was still there, as he basically saw that it wasn't. As he goes into a corner to go and cry. Now, he basically starts crying for hours and hours until eventually, eventually someone comes up to him, and it's someone with yellow eyes looking directly at him, kind of like it's looking directly into his soul. As this basically makes Izuku freeze, as he doesn't move even a single inch. As basically the thing comes running towards him, as he sees it's a human. But the weird thing about it is the human has claws and fur. And basically an arrow comes out of nowhere and hits the guy inside the neck as he goes rolling. And basically he sees this girl as basically basically, he she basically asks him, is he okay? As he basically says, yeah, I'm fine, but are you okay? Basically, basically looking at the creature right beside him getting back up, as it basically goes back on attack mode, and then it sees some lights from some cars pulling up. And basically this causes the creature to go and run away from, not wanting to die. And basically she asks Izuku what's his name. As basically, since Inko taught him basic English, he knows how to say his name instead of English. So he says Izuku Midoriya. As she looks at the people behind her, basically seeing a person with 2 lines on his arms, kind of wearing a short sleeve shirt. A girl a girl with black hair, and a guy inside of a Jeep with a girl, right beside him with blonde hair. As of course this is Melissa, Scott, Lydia, and Styles, as Liam isn't really here right now. And basically they're thinking, and she's basically like, I think we should take him in, because we don't know who his parents is. He doesn't have any type of identification, so I think we should take him in until until basically he is until we get information from his mom. And I think we should train him since he's inside of a city basically where there's a bunch of werewolves and all that. As they basically look at each other, and Styles basically goes to talk to Scott, basically like, this is risky, if he was to tell anybody, even if he is, you know, even if he does say he won't tell anybody, he's still a child, and he could be tricked to basically tell people where, who, and what we are. As basically Styles, is like inferring that, like basically talking about, Scott being a werewolf. As basically, Scott's basically like, that is true. As he looks over to Izuku, and he's like, but he's still a kid, and he needs to have some way to protect himself, basically. As basically, he looks at the girl, and she looks no older than like maybe 14. As basically, her name is Alyssa McCall. Well, no, Alyssa Argent. Kind of adding the first, letter of Allison and Scott's mom. And basically, they all nod their heads basically inside of agreement, as they're kind of like, that is true, we can't just let this kid go into a world like this just because we're scared of getting hurt. We've never been scared before, and we won't be scared now. So they decide to take in Izuku. And I'm going to say they take in him for about 2 years or so. And basically, after about 2 years, they put Izuku back to they basically find Izuku's mom 2 years later, as she's extremely chill, and she completely forgot about Izuku. As basically, she gets chewed out by Scott and everybody, basically them telling basically them yelling at her and saying, how could you forget your own child? As she takes him back, and yeah, time skip to present, and Izuku still has the skills that he learned for 2 years, since he would still remember them, since he was 7 when he learned those skills, and he was told to train those skills every single day. Now, basically, he doesn't get bullied as much inside of this one because, his training. And he doesn't just go around beating up people, though. So he does still get bullied, but he just isn't going to let someone hurt him physically. Maybe destroy something, but he won't hurt someone just for, hurting his feelings or destroying something that he has. As basically, everything goes like canon. Basically, Bakugo blows up Izuku's book for trying to become, a hero while being quirkless. As basically, he tells Izuku to swan dive off the top of the building, and maybe in the next life he'll have a quirk. As basically, Izuku gets up and doesn't see a single thing, and walks away early, because people usually stay there to complete extra homework for a little bit. So he decided to leave a little bit early, as basically he begins walking, and he senses something above him, as he jumps out of the way just in time to see the sludge villain in the place that he was, basically realizing that if he wouldn't have dodged, the sludge villain would have gotten him. As Izuku basically says, who are you? And basically, the sludge villain just starts laughing and says, kid, I'm surprised you could sense me. As he kind of reads outwards and said, you should have just taken the easy way. Now I have to take your body by force. As Izuku looks at him, is like, what you mean by that? That's kind of suspect, you know. That's kind of gay. You're gay. He's gay. Let me stop. But seriously though, yeah, basically, he's just fending off the sludge villain as he's dodging, and he didn't really think he was ever gonna have to use this, but he then throws Wolfbane at the sludge villain, basically throwing it directly into his face. And this Wolf's Bane does still hurt humans. It's just not as, it's just not as potent for a werewolf. It's less likely to actually kill them. As he basically breathes in Wolfsbane as he basically begins coughing. As he can basically not get the smoke out of his, I guess, slime lungs. I don't know. As All Might comes down and says, Detroit smash! And as he says that, the sludge villain then goes flying everywhere. And All Might basically looks at Izuku and is basically like, you did good, kid. As he says, by the way, I didn't see any type of quirk. Do you have a quirk or anything? Because if you have a strength-based quirk, I'm surprised you were able to, like, fend off the sludge villain this long. As basically Izuku says he's quirkless, as All Might says, well, I'm sorry about that. As he basically gets a bottle and starts collecting the sludge villain, as he puts it in his pocket, and he jumps away, and basically he looks down and he sees that Izuku's hanging on to him, as he's basically trying to shake him off of him, and Izuku says, if I fall from this height, I will die. As, All Might basically says, yeah, you're right. As he basically lands and he basically says, what did you hold on to me for? Like, what was the reason? As, Izuku basically says, even if I am quirkless. As he kind of looks down and he looks back up as out of determination, as he says, can I become a hero without a quirk? As All Might basically says, young Midoriya. As before he can finish, he spits out blood and turns back into his normal form. As Izuku then screams and he's like, who are you? As he says, it's me. As he basically explains his situation with the All For One, basically saying, he had gotten a wound and basically it stopped him from being able to transform as long. Or not really transform, but just puff out his chest. That's really all he does. And, he has a time limit now, since he has to keep his identity, secret. And people aren't going to really, feel safe around a stick, like, kind of like a bony guy protecting them. And, he's like, Izuku, for me telling you this, how harsh how harsh villains really are, This isn't any type of comic or anime. People die. As he says, I don't think you can become a hero, but I think you can become maybe a doctor or a police officer, help out people a different way. But becoming a hero, I don't think that's really possible for you. As at this point, Izuku's looking down, and All Might jumps away. Now, Izuku then, leaves the roof that he's on, and, and eventually, he, my fault, I can't think. Eventually, he's on the road and he's walking, and he basically sees a commotion. As he basically looks around and sees a bunch of heroes, and he's getting ready to, fan boy, but then he sees the sludge villain right beside behind them, swallowing up a kid. As he says, if you guys come any closer, I swear I'll kill this kid on the spot. As all the um all the heroes are basically trying to keep the people back. As Izuku runs forward and he's stopped by the hero as he says, "Kid, there's nothing you could do. We have to wait for All Might." As basically Izuku looks around and sees All Might inside the crowd, but his time limit still isn't reset yet, so he knows that All Might's not going to be able to help. So instead, he decides to run in, as the hero basically tries to stop him, but it's just out of arm's reach. As Izuku's basically running up and trying to rip away the sludge villain. As basically the sludge villain turns, and he's basically like, "Huh? Looks like I've got an extra hostage." Now, as he says this, he swallows up Izuku, and as he says this, he swallows up Izuku also, and Izuku starts suffocating. As basically Bakugo and Izuku are suffocating at this point. As basically Izuku's starting to lose consciousness, as Bakugo is not losing consciousness before him since he's getting more air. As he does, he then hears a Detroit smash. And as he hears that, the sludge villain then goes flying off of him and Bakugo, as All Might basically says, "Izuku, young Midoriya, young Bakugo, are you guys okay?" As basically he knows his name from the news report. Basically, the news basically saying his name out loud. As Izuku's basically like, "Yeah," as he's looking at him confused since he thought his time limit was out. As he basically says, "Izuku, your act of bravery basically, basically showed me and made me, pass over my limits and get here even faster." He says, basically, using quotation marks, basically saying that he overcame his time limit and he forced his transformation this time. And basically he says, "Young Midori, if you ever need anything, here's my number." As he says, "I will call you eventually, and I have a proposal for you." As he basically jumps away, and yeah. Now, Izuku basically looks at Bakugo, as Bakugo basically says, "I didn't need any help." As Izuku basically says, "Yeah. For the first time, well, no, not for the first time, but overcoming his limits also, because he was taught to hold his breath, but he still was being suffocated for a little bit longer than normally inside the anime, because All Might only kicked inside the anime when he saw Izuku losing consciousness. But yeah, he goes back home, and basically his mom runs towards him, basically asking him, is he okay? As he kind of laughs and says, "I'm all right." As he then gets a serious face and he says, looks like I'm gonna have to use the training that I was taught by the argents." As he basically goes up to his room and basically picks up a book that he was given, as basically he sees the argent sign and it says step 1, create your own weapon. As Izuku smiles and he says, looks like this is the beginning of my journey. This is where I'm gonna leave it off. If you guys didn't forget to hit the like button, subscribe. Again, join my Discord. Link will be in the description. And with that said, I'll see you guys later. Oh, and also there will be a clip at the end of the video of my Discord one more time. And, then, I'm leaving. So see you guys later. Alright, so this video is if you don't know how to get to the description. So, I'm going to put this at the end of most of my videos. You go over here. You go over and you press on the video basically.
I'm made of the
And inside the description is the Discord. Now, I think this is my old Discord. So yeah, you click on this link at the bottom of the description, which is the title on mobile, and it should say my Discord and someone else's Discord. Also join Fear's Discord, that one is still up. And yeah, with that said, I'll see you guys later.
I heard back, time ain't just. Me gonna be, I heard back.